one and all, let's get on with things, shall we? First of all, as you can see, leaving Facebook, we're just checking that you want to follow a link to this website. Wow, thank you so much, Facebook, or Snakebook as it should be really called, because, you know, I clicked on a link to go to a different site to get away from you. So, I don't need you to say, are you sure you want to leave Facebook? Because yes, I want to leave Snakebook. Snakebook, Zionist-controlled dictatorship. Yes, I want to leave Snakebook. And I'm leaving it, you. Always try to remember that if you are trying to have a conversation with someone that watches a lot of TV, that you are actually trying to talk to a hypnotized being. What day is today? Asked Pooh. It's the day we burn this mother-ucking to the ground, squeaked Piglet. My favourite day, said Pooh. And of course, they're talking about Parliament. Wouldn't it be great if social media companies use their technology and brains to make a better planet instead of wasting their resources by spying on us all? Ah, utopian society. Centre for Disease Control exposed as a private corporation. What a shock, a private corporation colluding with Big Pharma. The illusionary notion that the federal regulatory agency known as the Centre for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, is somehow a public entity working on behalf of the people to protect us all from disease is simply laughable. The CDC, by definition, is a private corporation working on behalf of its stakeholders, which include key players in the pharmaceutical and vaccine industries that profit from the spread of disease, not from real prevention and cures. The first and most obvious clue that the CDC isn't what it appears on the surface is the fact that this supposed government agency is listed in the official Dun & Bradstreet D&B directory as a for-profit corporation. D&B is a Fortune 500 company based in New Jersey that maintains databases on more than 235 million companies worldwide, including Nottingham City Council, Nottingham County Council, Nottingham Police Force, the UK Government PLC, to name but a few. They're all corporations. Check it out on dnb.com. It's a who's who of the global business climate and is recognised as one of the first companies to be publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Here's a screenshot of the CDC's listings on D&B, courtesy of the Anti-Corruption Society. Everything, just about, is a corporation. And corporations have one goal: to make profit for their shareholders. So when you pay council tax, you're paying into a private corporation for their profits. Just let that sink in. The Guardian view on the People's Vote March: a force for good. The protest on the streets of London will show that the Prime Monster cannot defy the public, even though she is doing and stabbing us in the back. They have a will and opinions of their own. 16 years ago, treasonous Blair watched 1 million people march past Downing Street, imploring him not to join US President traitor George W. Bush in invading Iraq. Mr. Blair, in the words of one writer this week, and it was actually 2 million, concluded catastrophically that they were 1 million of them misguided. In other words, you see what I'm doing? and you're against it. Oh, you're misguided. Or to put it another way, you're not a Zionist traitor. It was traitor Blair who turned out to be misguided. The march against the Iraq war was a turning point in traitor Blair's political career, and one that he never recovered from. Unlike traitor Blair, treasonous May is not in the pomp of her premiership. What you should take from that is that, great, get out there, march, protest, do all that shit, but they just ignore it. Direct action is what's called for. First, we take the councils out. We occupy their buildings, because they're not their buildings, they're our buildings. They're public buildings, our buildings. As proven by the fact that when the for leader of Nottingham criminal cartel put wanted posters up in all public council offices of me and 3 of my compatriots. Of course, John Collins then realised, of course, he can't ban members of the public from public buildings, so he had to take them all down at a cost of a lot of money to you and me. But then again, all councils don't give a shit how much money they spend, because it's not theirs, it's ours, and they don't give a shit about our money, apart from to steal as much as possible, i.e. council tax. Brexit march. Hundreds of thousands head to London demanding people's vote. Hundreds of thousands of people are set to march on Parliament, calling for the public to give the final say on Brexit. Demonstrators will flood into the capital from across the country for the Put It to the People march in Parliament Square today. The number of marchers calling for a second referendum could soar to more than 1 million after estimates for a similar rally in October was as high as 700,000. Now, of course, we don't want a second referendum. That would be totally and utterly pointless. Why is that, Mark, I hear you say? Well, because we've had a referendum and we voted to leave. And the treasonous bastards in Parliament are trying everything they can to stop that, including dumb a lot of us down to think we want another referendum because we didn't get it right the first time, when in actual fact we did get it correct. We got it spot on. We got it 100% correct. We want to leave the European Union, and we want all the treasonous bastards in Parliament locking up. How simple can that be? Well, according to the government, mind controllers, govern to control, meant from mentalis, Latin mentalis, mind, control of the mind, mind controls. They think we are incapable of making a decision. So they've decided to just ignore it, which is what they always do. Because, hey, they're our servants, aren't they? Doesn't seem that way, does it? Police say they are prosecuting 2 over M5 Exeter Brexit blockade. Police have said they are prosecuting motorists who were making up part of the M5 Brexit blockade earlier this evening. Inspector Cy Jenkinson, Freemason, tweeted that 2 drivers ignored police advice to not deliberately obstruct the carriageway and were prosecuted. Now let's just examine that statement. The Freemason Inspector Cy Jenkinson tweeted that 2 drivers ignored police advice. Not an order. You shouldn't smoke, it's bad for you. You shouldn't drink, it's not good for you. You shouldn't take cannabis because it cures almost everything. See, that's advice. And you can choose to ignore that advice. So this is a fake prosecution. The Freemason Cy Jenkins wrote, M5 go slow Our advice was the same. Make your protest, don't deliberately obstruct the carriageway. It seems two drivers ignored this advice, slowing to speeds as low as 20 miles per hour on the motorway. They've been stopped and prosecuted. Around a dozen vehicles left the services at Sandygate roundabout on the outskirts of Exeter at approximately 5:40 p.m. earlier today, with an escort of 2 Highway England vehicles and a police car. The Freemason Inspector Jenkins is a criminal. He's a traitor. He's betraying every member of the public, because his belief is that he owes his allegiance to the Freemasons, a satanic organisation. Watch Yellow Vest protests in Paris as troops allowed to open fire if threatened. In other words, they've been given carte blanche to shoot whenever they like. Can you see that this is a dictatorship yet? Much like we have in this country, except over there at the moment, the troops are out and ready to shoot their own men, women and children. It's time that Macron was introduced to the guillotine after spending a long time in prison. In fact, the whole of his life. But then again, you must, well, you don't must, you should really feel sorry for a poor lad that as a young kid was raped by his teacher, who he later married and is still his present wife. They have no children, just like Theresa May, Angela Merkel, because they're Zionist puppets. They think they're doing the best for the Zionists, when in actual fact, just like May, Merkel, they're all knifing their own population in the back and twisting the blade. This week's of Yellow Vest protests arrived in Paris on Saturday, despite a ban on protesting along the Champs-Élysées, which was announced by French traitor Minister Eduardo Philippe after violence erupted last week by the agent provocateurs, which were police in normal dress wear. Ahead of the 19th Saturday seeing Yellow Vest protests in France, troops have been mobilised to help the police to bring in a dictatorship. To focus on protecting public order in Paris. No, I think that's protecting the dictatorship. The military can go as far as opening fire if their life or the life of people they defend are threatened. General Bruno Leray, Paris military governor, said Friday. French police have banned protests on the Champs-Élysées and it is and in its vicinity, which had been slated to take place on this Saturday, 23rd of March, according to their statement. Similar precautionary measures have been taken by police in the French cities of Nice, Marseille and Metz. It's called a dictatorship. When the military are put on the streets, it's a dictatorship. I wonder, do we have, say, 10,000 foreign troops just lying around the UK somewhere? Oh yeah, we do, don't we? It's a friggin' dictatorship. There are limitations to free speech, says London Mayor after street preacher's arrest. Wow. You know what that sounds like, don't you? It sounds like a dictatorship. The treasonous traitor Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, there's a long jail term waiting for that piece of shit, has addressed the recent arrest of subsequent de-arrest of a street preacher outside Southgate tube station. Video footage of Alowul Lezamni being arrested by police for a breach of the peace went viral on social media and has now been viewed over 2 million times. Police arrested him after a member of the public complained that he had made Islamophobic comments. No further action was taken and he was subsequently de-arrested. However, a complaint was later lodged against Enfield Police over the handling of the situation after he said he had been released by police some distance from Southgate and was only able to make his way back with the help of a member of the public who paid for his bus fare. Also known as a dictatorship. Whether French soldiers can open fire on yellow vests. Traitorous, treasonous, guillotine-waiting Emmanuel Macron has been forced, no he hasn't, to wade into a snowballing row over claims French soldiers have been authorised to open fire if they come under protest. Traitor Macron has been forced... No, he hasn't. Load of shite. Utter bollocks. It's a dictatorship, and that's pretty much as you need to know. Preventing a repeat of last week's violence in which the police were undercover agent provocateurs causing the violence, in which masked troublemakers, agent provocateurs, wrecked dozens of stores and restaurants along the capital Champs-Élysées. It is seen as a crucial test of the French traitors' ability to restore a dictatorship. Christopher Castaner, his embattled Interior Minister, this week announced the decision to draft 3,000 soldiers to protect hotspots in Paris and other big cities on Saturday. Well, I've heard 3,000, I've heard 5,000, I've heard 7,000. So obviously whenever you're reading anything in the shit sheets, it's full of shit and it's just made up crap. Failure to main order prompted Mr. Castaner to fire some bullshit. War is declared. Yellow Vests plan protests in 9 French cities and a blockade of ports. The Yellow Vests are gearing up for the 19th week of protests in France, and the government is taking strong measures to keep order. I should rephrase that, to keep the dictatorship. Here's what you need to know about what is happening on Saturday. This weekend is set to be something of a moment of truth for the French government as it prepares for fresh Yellow Vest protests under the spectre of last Saturday's violence by the agent provocateurs, police in normal dress. During the 18th straight weekend of protests on Saturday, March 16th, the police, agent provocateurs, looted and torched shops and businesses on the famed Champs-Élysées Avenue in Paris, in scenes reminiscent of the worst Yellow Vest riots in the French capital in December, which was also caused by agent provocateurs, police in normal outfits, normal attire. We've got to get that everything that happens nowadays is a setup. We're being played. And unfortunately some actually read this shit and believe it, believe the propaganda that is put out by the shit sheets. Anyway, Tory MP Christopher Davies admits making 2 false parliamentary expenses invoices worth £700 for pictures and furniture at his constituency office. Christopher Davies admitted 2 counts of false expenses in court this morning. The Conservative MP for Brecon and Radnshire was first elected in 2015. He admitted making false or misleading claims in March and April 2016. Magistrates sent Davies to Crown Court for sentencing. Hopefully he will get over a year in prison, but he won't. And the reason I say that is because you can be an absolute crooked bastard, but if you serve over a year, you can't go back to Parliament. Well, he'll still carry on with his £80,000 a year, even though he's a thieving, conniving bastard. Tory MP Christopher Davies is facing a potential prison sentence after he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of submitting false expenses. Prosecutors dropped a charge of forgery. Well, that would have got him in for over a year, but apparently no, we'll drop that one because that'll get him for over a year and he won't be able to keep his £80,000 a year, plus his trough in the expenses trough. Prosecutors dropped the charge of forgery when he appeared today at Westminster Magistrates Court to plead guilty to the 2 remaining charges. However, he will have to appear in Crown Court for sentencing after District Judge John Zanni has said he does not consider his sentencing power sufficient to settle the case. The first charge was providing false or misleading information for allowances claims contrary to Section 10 of the Parliamentary Standards Act 2009. He admitted that in March 2016 he made a claim under the MP's allowance scheme and provided an invoice that he had forged. You can trust them in Parliament. They've got our best interests at heart, haven't they? Yeah, right. Express. Victoria's Secret's bullshit. May's last stand. PM's dramatic threat to drop her deal in letter to MPs. Catherine Zeta-Jones, how to arrive at the airport, Hollywood style. The Guardian revealed secret plan for months of no-deal chaos. Months. Not, you know, to the 22nd of April or whenever it's supposed to be. We aren't leaving. That's been the plan all along. They've been lying to us all along. They are ignoring our decision to leave. That can only mean one thing. We are in a dictatorship. We need to get off our knees and take back this country from the corrupt bastards in Parliament. There's not a truthful, decent politician. Well, maybe a couple, but the majority of them are just thieving bastards, as mentioned earlier. Final report on Trump and Russia delivered. Missing you already. Traitor Macron left and traitor Tusk indicate Theresa May shaped hole at the EU summit. Yes, you're a Zionist like us. You should be over here. Don't let your fellow slaves make you think you don't belong with the Zionist rest of us, because you do. The Times. Pressure grows on May to quit. Support fades after Brussels humiliation. Name your departure date, PM told. Deputy enters into talks with rival parties. Military-style firearms for sale in British shops. Oh, what a crock of shit. But you know what? They don't want us armed. Because when they really unroll this dictatorship, they're frightened. In fact, they're terrified that we will fight back. And if we've got anything that matches, or is even close to being able to defend ourselves, they are shitting it. Mirror. Tragedy of TV hopeful. BGT shock at dancer suicide. BGT. Big great twat. I don't know. Mystery has gifted semi-finalist 25 kills himself before his performance is aired. Waste of paper star. Bumper 104 pages free inside. Oh, so I've not got to buy the paper then? Because if it's free I can just take it out, can't I? And go. And I got 104 pages free. Bullshit crap. Brexit boss backs break exit. Honestly, we're as surprised as you. There's no Brexit. We voted to leave. We didn't vote to Brexit. We voted to leave. And if we don't leave, it's treason. But when you're in a dictatorship, what do you expect? Suicide agony of Love Isle star Alex. Seem to be all topping themselves. The Tell-Lie graph. Brexit crisis. Expert comment and analysis from a bunch of other paid-for muppets. May gambles with vote on customs union. Prime Minister returns from her Brussels failure with plan to let MPs have their say in move. More Eurosceptics fear will lead to soft exit. Now this isn't a surprise. This has been the plan all along. And they're going to vote for a second referendum and they're going to fix it that we vote to remain, of course, because they control the voting. If they didn't, we wouldn't be allowed to vote. Daily Fail. free inside. Great wildlife TV series ever. Great. Well, then I can just go and take it, can't I? Because it's free and I haven't got to buy you piece of shit sheets. Little heroes make history for being the most stupidest slaves on the planet. As Mail's Great Spring Clean begins, it's UK's biggest volunteer campaign of all. Yes, you go and do their cleaning for free because, you know, that council tax that you pay to the council for them to do it, and they can't do it because they claim they've got no money. Well, if they've got no money, stop giving them it. Carol, how I really got my curves. I can only imagine. Aye. PM losing her grip on power. No MP should ever have any power at all because they are traitors and will misuse it. May's control over her government and party now close to collapse. Whip's on verge of quitting after losing faith in their leader, Ireland. No one is ready to defend her. The party is furious and clueless. Number 10 officials say PM will face calls to resign if she loses next week's vote. Cabinet at war as her deputy tries to seize command of crisis. MPs may be offered a chance to vote on up to 7 Plan B options. All of them which include giving everything over to the EU. IRA bomber accuses 4 men of Birmingham pub bombings. Well, it was government controlled. It was our government that did it. The farmer growing meat in her lab. Oh dear. Anything but independent. Final say, march on Parliament with us today at 12 PM to demand a Brexit referendum. We've had a referendum, you dumb shitheads. We voted to leave. We haven't left. So it's traitorous treason and sedition. High treason and sedition by Parliament. Another public vote is the only answer, says Watson. So we can fix it and make sure we vote to remain. He may also have said. FT. How the EU set Britain's course without Theresa May. MP set to seize control of Brexit. Deutsche Bank doubles investment. Chiefs paid despite tepid performance. Battersea home buyers, e-buyers reclaim flat deposits. Well, the treason continues, and on a final note, since the outbreak of the conflict in Syria, Israel has awarded drilling rights for oil and gas in Israel-occupied Syria to a company called Genie Energy. Guess who's on the board? Dick Cheney, Jacob Rothschild, Rupert Murdoch, James Woolsey, Bill Richardson, Larry Summers, Michael Standhart. That's why the Syrian war is good for business, at least as far as these traitorous, treasonous bastards are concerned. Never forget August the 2nd, 1964. The US government reports that North Vietnamese torpedo boats launched an unprovoked attack against the USS Maddox while on routine patrol in the Tonkin Gulf, causing the US to enter the Vietnam War. But it never happened. The government created the lie to gain public support to enter the war. Crux income, and that is such a correct pronunciation of Cancer Research UK, was 679 million in the financial year ending 31st of March 2017. Now let's just recall that the 1939 Cancer Act forbids you saying that there's a cure, but these claim they're looking for a cure, when in actual fact all they're looking for is to relieve the most dumb, stupid, kind-hearted men, women and children of their money to finance their own research into pharmaceuticals. So you're giving to a pharmaceuticals that can alter or subdue slightly the pain that you're suffering from cancer. when there are multiple cures for cancer out there and always has been. Cannabis oil, it is now undeniable, cures cancer. The Bob Beck device cures cancer. The Gerson therapy cures cancer. Joanna Budwig in the 1950s cured cancer. The cures are endless. The disease is just that, curable. But Big Pharma can't make billions and trillions from giving you pharmaceutical poison that make you feel a little bit easier sometimes, or if you're having chemo, make you feel a hell of a lot worse. Chemo was developed from mustard gas, and they are giving that as a health benefit.